I call this my hold up look. You know, you got the three name agency, you got the Shemagh, the red hat. Then when you look closer, you're like, wait a second. Oh, it isn't a Shemagh, it's a Kufia from Hirbawi. Oh, it isn't just CIA, it's a world tour of all the coups they've attempted. Also, shout out again to Comrade Workwear. This is unsolicited. I just like their stuff, and I think everyone should wear it. All right, let's talk about the ban. I see a lot of people talking about how we'll be able to use VPNs or switch to a different app. I just want to make a couple things clear about what this looks like. And this is the legislation is what it is. HR 7521, also known as the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Apps Act. I'm not going to go into the legislation, one, because I'm not a lawyer, but two, specifically because there's content creators who are covering this right now and have been since in March very well, and I've reposted them, which also, I'm reposting people who need help in this area. Please also take a look at. So first, I'll tell you what I do know for sure. A lot of people are saying switch to Lemon 8. Lemon 8 is owned by ByteDance. ByteDance is explicitly called out in this legislation. If this goes through, which it likely will in the next, 40 days or something, Lemon 8 will also be gone. To wrap it up in a very sloppy bow for you, this legislation basically determines that if anyone that the Secretary considers a foreign adversary has an application here that they are, by United States government legislation, either required to divest, as in basically sell their company to a U.S. company, or no longer be allowed in the United States. The enforcement of how that's done is not something anyone has current guaranteed information about. It could range from not being able to access the application on regular Play stores to downright banning all IPs from US-based internet. First, do I think there's legitimacy behind the findings? They haven't shown any evidence publicly. They claim that it's a national secret as to why. But if I contrast it with information like NIST, the National Institute of Standards of Technology, has been saying since April they have not received enough funding to be able to update the NVD, the National Vulnerability Database, the main threat landscape database that is used for cybersecurity in America for all companies and including worldwide. Do I think this law is about cybersecurity? Or do I think it's legislation that's meant to intentionally restrict communication between people of literal particular countries that the Secretary can just decide as an adversary? I mean, what shirt am I wearing? Look, all this to say, a lot of you got on this app because you can see the level of movement that can occur, but that's something that's embodied by you and the audience that gets surrounded by that, not just a platform that might be able to suppress. So while we may need to change to arguably more threatening social platforms to ideas like you all might have, you have to understand that despite an algorithm attempting to flood all this effort to make something not possible, you, an audience, is what continues and perpetuates an idea. I'm saying this because no matter what platform everyone decides to move to, or if you continue to follow me or other people on said platforms, what's going to be important is the individual effort you put in to share these ideas with other people. You've relied way too much on the idea that an algorithm is simply just a collective unconscious and not a intentionally catered methodology by every company, including the one you're watching it on with here, and not something you have an obligation to spread the idea to others about. At the end of the day, you have to think about it like this. An idea you don't share is an idea that doesn't exist. I'll be on Instagram too, but I've almost 50,000 people here, and that has like 1,000. Granted, I haven't posted videos yet because this app is probably going to go away and that's when I'll transition, but follow me there too if you want to keep up with this stuff. And please, look at my reposts while this app is still up. There's some really important conversations, people who need help, and a lot of good creators that you might also want to follow on other platforms through these. So take a look.